Days after Sessions recused himself from investigations into the Trump campaign following claims that he misled Congress over his ties to Russia in the weeks and months prior to the election, or contacts with the Russian ambassador. To talk more about this, Hugh Hewitt, who conducted that interview, an MSNBC political analyst and host of the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hugh, thanks for joining me. So you introduced that question we just played. You introduced a number of areas where it sounds like you would like to see the Attorney General focus an investigation, an outside investigation. Obviously, if he went in that direction, you'd have a loud outcry from Democrats. That would be a major political issue. I'm just curious what you make of his answer. Do you think that's something he's seriously considering, or do you think he was giving you a polite brush off there?
No, I think it's something he's seriously considering, Steve, based upon the next question in the sequence. I said, okay, let's drill down on IRS, which is the one that gave me the most heartburn, the lowest learner document destruction, the absolute fumble of the investigation. I said, what about that one? Because he was on record in the Senate of having been quite upset about that, and he is a longtime DOJ person. I didn't spend nearly as much time at the Justice Department as he did. And so when he came back to said, that one really did bother me, I had ticked off all of the occasions where Republicans had asked for special prosecutors during the Obama Holder, Loretta Lynch years, and not once was one named. I didn't even bring up the fact that Attorney General Holder was held in contempt of Congress. There is an opportunity here for President Trump and Attorney General Sessions to say, we will go find, a former federal judge, a former prosecutor, a non-political person, to conduct a review of what happened from 2009 through 2016 at DOJ and see whether any political influence, as I suspect occurred especially in the IRS case, came to bear. And the Attorney General opened the door today. I'm glad he did. I think Democrats should think about that.
Is there a tit-for-tat aspect to this at all, though? You've got Democrats out there calling for all sorts of investigations into the Trump administration, into Russia, into Sessions himself. Obviously, he's become a lightning rod here. Is there an aspect of, hey, you're calling for this, so we're going to talk about doing this?
Well, there is an aspect of what's the standard. I wrote for the WashingtonPost.com yesterday that the whole history of special prosecutors really begins with Archibald Cox and his firing in 1973, followed by Leon Jaworski, 20 years of the Independent Counsel statute, which expired in 1999, and now we're back into the era of an Attorney General asks for a special outside counsel whenever there's a standard that's been crossed. Democrats currently allege that that standard's been crossed with regards to Russia and allegations of Team Trump improper contacts with Russia, even though James Clapper said no such evidence exists. So I'd like to articulate a standard by which an Attorney General would invite in an outside counsel of absolutely unimpeachable background and abilities. I've got a law partner, for example, Steve Larson, former federal judge, former head of organized crime in L.A. He's not political. He's just a good prosecutor. You bring in someone like that and you say, take a look at this. If there's one standard and we can all agree on it, maybe it applies to allegations about Team Trump and Russia, maybe it doesn't. I certainly think it would apply to the IRS handling and possibly as well to Fast and Furious, the gun-walking scandal.
Let me ask you about that subject of Russia, some of the concerns that have been raised by Democrats, by Trump critics. I'm just curious to get your take on this. What I think Democrats and Trump critics point to, there's sort of a number of dots out there, a number of points, I guess you could say. You've got Sessions not revealing every contact he had with the Russians in that hearing. You've got this trip to Russia last year by Carter Page, who had been an advisor to the campaign for a little time on foreign policy. You got Flynn misleading the vice president about his the content of his conversation with the Russian ambassador. There seems to be a suggestion, some Democrats, some Trump critics, that if you put all these points together, there is the strong possibility of collusion there. The Trump campaign, the Russian government during the American presidential election. Is that a concern you share at all?
Well, I believe James Clapper when he said there is no evidence of collusion as of the time he left office. And so I think it's actually in the president's interest to call for a special counsel to investigate these allegations of collusion. Jennifer Palmieri on Meet the Press Daily with Chuck Todd and I a couple nights ago said she really believes there was collusion. I don't, because of the statements of everyone involved that I know and I trust. Therefore, if you think you're innocent, call for a special prosecutor and bring them in. But at the same time, I would use that as an opportunity to say, but the standard here is so low. when you've got James Clapper saying nothing happened. The standard is so low, I'm going to use the same standard to bring in a special prosecutor, especially on the IRS case, because I think Lois Lerner did exactly the worst thing, the Watergate thing, which was to use the political branch, and especially the IRS, to intimidate, cajole, and basically bully American citizens for being politically active. That was the worst of the worst. If Benghazi is off on one side, people can talk about whether it's been investigated enough or not, but the IRS certainly wasn't. So I just want one standard articulated and applied both to the Obama-Holder Lynch Department of Justice and the Trump Sessions Department of Justice. And I also have to say, Steve, I'm deeply I thought you were bringing me in to talk about J.C. Tretter and Kevin Zeitler and the Browns dominating free agency.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure you've heard the news in the last few minutes. You guys have a new quarterback, America's most famous Cleveland Browns fan here. Let me be the first to congratulate you, Hugh Hewitt, on your team's acquisition of Brock Osweiler and his $16 million contract. Good luck with that.
Actually, what we have is a second-round draft choice in next year's draft and a guy who's going to move through Cleveland so fast he won't even get a time to get to the Terminal Tower. That's an NBA Moneyball move by Sashi Brown and the smart guys running the Browns. Super 2018, Steve Kornacki.
There you go. From 1-15, he's already at the Super Bowl. Hugh Hewitt, thanks for joining us.